Hey guys, Brain Freeze Laser here, and basically what I'm going to be doing in this video is giving you a little bit of a tutorial on how to play Chaos X. This is basically the Chaos deck that I'm running right now. It's gone through a couple changes just from different things I didn't like about it before, particular things. I will go over the plays I made. I'll give you some pros about the deck, and I'll give you some cons about the deck at the end, and I will give you a deck profile. So hopefully this video doesn't get too long, but if it does, I basically urge you to watch the whole video because there's a lot of information in this particular video about how to play this particular deck and just different things you can do. So let's just get right into it. I'm going to be using the play and step motion buttons in DevPro to go through certain moves and stuff. So here we are with my first hand. I got to go first. Now I played a lure, and I dumped out Chaos Sorcerer because I got Trance Archfiend. So if Trance Archfiend dies, I can go get Chaos Sorcerer back. If Dimensional Alchemist dies, I can get Chaos Sorcerer back. And that'll put a light or a dark in the graveyard. Now, basically, if they get removed, that sucks, but I usually like to put out, Dimensional Alchemist first because it kind of throws my opponent off. They go, oh, well, he shouldn't have anything because, or his outlet to getting stuff back is gone, and Transfer Archfiend can still grab darks out of play. So that's pretty cool. And I had a couple Cyber Valleys. Basically, that's one of the cons I'm going to be pointing out at the end. Having a multiple Cyber Valleys is kind of sucky. First turn, well, not just multiple, but having like 3. But we'll get into that later. So let's play. Summon Cyber Valley, and end my turn. My opponent draws his duality, plays it, goes into Wildman, or is that, yeah, Wild Heart, and it sets a Mirror Force. I activate my thing, get a Lightning Vortex. Now I like Lightning Vortex because it lets me get rid of clutter in my hand. It's another board sweeper for my opponent. I can put a dark in the graveyard with it, all sorts of cool stuff. So that's why I run it. I summon Alchemist, and out went BLS. That's pretty cool to see that, to see a BLS. I was hoping that was a Mirror Force back there so I could get my BLS back. And if he activated it, that would give me my BLS back or my Chaos Sorcerer back. But I think he lets himself get killed. Yeah. So because he saw that go out and he doesn't want me to get that back, basically right now. So he draws another Wild Heart, brings out a Hero Heat, and then he brings out a Nova Master, nets himself a card, but he gives me back BLS in the process. I didn't know I was playing against Macro Hero, so it would have been really unfortunate for me because that's one of the weaknesses of the deck also, when things go to play before I get to get them back. But fortunately I had Heavy Storm. So I run 1 Thrasher in the deck for Caius, or if I really need to draw, and he's just a big beater. Basically I have 3 Battle Faders in the deck and 1 Thrasher, so there's outlets for Caius, and he's also light, so there you go. So I play heavy, and I got rid of both the Mirror Force and Macro, which was lucky for me. Bring out Caius and remove his Nova Master. Attack directly, and that's the first damage I've dealt to him, I believe. Oh, no, it's not. This is the second. But anyway. So then he brings out another Nova Master, which is annoying. But, whatever. He draws another card off of that. Hits me for 1,500. Okay. So now I play Lightning Vortex, dump my dad. And the reason I dumped dad was because I have Trance Archfiend. So basically, at any given time during the game, I can go out of play if Trance Archfiend goes to the graveyard by being destroyed and grab any dark monster back. And as you see, I have a Dark Arm Dragon and a Chaos Sorcerer. He rentals my Black Luster Soldier, and I bring out Trance Archfiend for next turn to set up. Now that I know there's probably nothing that's going to hit him except a monster, brings out a Stratos. He kills my Trance Archfiend. So I'm used to seeing people grab Voltic. He's trying to go into like some crazy play, and I know I have to get rid of this guy. So instead of grabbing Dad like I normally probably would have, there was only 2 darks in the graveyard. I grabbed Chaos Sorcerer, set me up to remove Stratos the next turn. And I draw Gores, which is awesome. I remove my Light and Dark, remove his Stratos, and set my Shining Angel so I can go grab another Alchemist, Magician, or Dimensional Alchemist if I need to. He set Ice Edge, and I do my Duality. So I play my Duality, and my 3 options were, look over here real quick. My 3 options were Dark Hole, Battle Fader, and Dark Resonator. Dark Resonator is in the deck because it also gives me options for Caius. If I set it first turn, they hit it once, they can't get over it, gives me a Caius outlet. Also, he's a target for Tour Guide. I took my Dark Hole though, just in case things went south from here. I hit his little Ice Edge guy, I put an end to that. Then he draws another, what is this card called? Parallel World, brings out another Novamaster, netting himself another draw. Draws into a Torrential. So then I go, draw 1 for 1, put up my guy. Let's see if he really wants to hit it. If not, then he'll hit this and net himself another draw. So he goes for this play. If he would have hit this, I would have brought out Dimensional Alchemist, and he probably would have destroyed it, giving me back one of my out-of-play cards. But he went for the Cyber Valley play, which is what I was really hoping for, and it gave me a draw, which is a Battle Fader. That's awesome. And now I have a choice. I can either wait and bring out Battle Fader, and then bring out Caius, or I can flip up, or I can do what I'm about to do right now. I flip up my Shining Angel, ram it into his Ocean, lose 100, which isn't that much, and then bring out my Dimensional Alchemist, and play Dark Hole, netting me an out-of-play card, which is my BLS back. One thing I also forgot to mention is every time I remove a Black Luster Soldier or a Chaos Sorcerer, it's because I don't want him to Monster Reborn them later in the game. So because I can get them back, it's okay. That's pretty cool. That's one cool thing about the deck. So now I have a Battle Fader ready for Caius. Looks good. He brings out an Absolute Zero and a Voltic. I'm not gonna let him get that hit off because that'll, he'll just keep bringing stuff back. Okay, so I bring out my Tour Guide and I go into Acid. Acid Golem, and I go over his Voltic and deal 2,000 damage, leaving him with 18. Basically, though, now he has the option of suiciding and clearing my board. I have a Gores though, which is okay. So there you go. I didn't want to bring out, BLS and then have him nuke my BLS again. So now I bring out Caius, pop his guy, clear my board. And I play Pot of Avarice, put a bunch of cards back in, and I draw into a Duality and a Scapegoat. Now, what you just saw there was, let's go down here. You saw Falling Down, a Tour Guide, and a Sorcerer. I could take Sorcerer and bring him out. I think I go for the Tour Guide, but we'll see in a second. And the Falling Down is in the deck because of Trance Archfiend. And I really like this card because my deck has Cyber Valleys in it. My deck has, level 4, so I can rank 4 with them. I can use it for Caius, and Trance Archfiend is an Archfiend. So that's an option late game. If I have him on the board, whatever. If not, it's no big deal. Basically, the Scapegoats are for stall and for Cyber Valley to net me some draws. So I take the Tour Guide, and then I set 1 for 1 first, then Scapegoat second. The reason I did that is because most people will hit the first card you set, with a mystical or something like that. So I wanted to wait, and hopefully I could activate Scapegoats, and I got to activate Scapegoats, and he kills one of them. And I go into my turn. I draw a Dimensional Alchemist, which is cool. Now at this point, I had a few options. I could go into Giga Brilliant to give me another light for my graveyard. Let's actually look. I have Acid Golem, Giga Brilliant, Leviar, Zenmains, and Tempo. So my best options right now would have been either to go back into Acid Golem to do enough damage to win the game, but I'm not sure what he had down there. Giga Brilliant to put another light in the graveyard. Leviar to bring back Cyber Valleys out of play, or Zenmains. And if he had something that could kill Zenmaines, then Zenmain could just protect himself and pop something else on his board. So let's see what I go into. I went into Zenmaines. So basically, I was trying to protect myself. He plays macro, which basically tells me that he has a parallel world, in there, which he didn't. He goes for that play. He's bigger than Zenmaines, so I have Monster Reborn in there. Now what I do now, I'll explain as I go along. I bring out Wildheart because I know Wildheart is immune to traps, and I was assuming that he had a Torrential. And if he had a Torrential, then he would have killed himself and left me with his open board and Zenmaines. And there it is. So then I bring him out. He can't respond, or he doesn't want to respond because that'll just put him in a worse position. And then I put Zenmaines in defense mode, and I bring out Cowboy. So I guess I could have just won the game right there if I was just a little more aggressive. But, I was just making sure I was in control of the game, and he Torrentials. So I baited that out, and I popped his macro. Then he plays Mystical. Oh no, he didn't play it, so I draw a Chalice. Bring out BLS, pop his guy. He gets E-Call. Goes for Edge, pops his back row. And I was like, okay, what is he going to do? I don't understand. Basically what he does is he ends the game because he knows he can't win. And that's it. That's how the deck works, basically. As you can see, there's a lot of outlets for getting stuff back. But basically now let's go into a deck profile.
And here we are with the deck profile. So I'm running one of most of the cards that you can run one of. One Gores, one Trag, one BLS, one Dad, one Sorcerer, 3 Caius, 3 Battle Fader, 2 Dimensional Alchemists, 3 Cyber Valley, 1 Thrasher, 2 Shining Angels, 2 Trance Archfiends, 2 Tour Guide, and a Dark Resonator. My spell lineup is pretty typical. I have 3 staples: Pot of Everest, Allure, plenty of darks, Scapegoat, Forbidden Chalice, Mind Control, 1 for 1, Falling Down, Lightning Vortex, Mystical, Pot of Duality, and Mirror Force. The side deck cards aren't actually here, so we can just move them. They were just stuff that were in the deck, and I was moving them out and whatever. So there you go. And 2 Slacker Magicians, 1 Acid Golem, 1 Giga Brilliant. That's really weird. It looks like it says he's Earth. Anyway, 1 Leviar Dragon, 1 Zenmaines, 1 Temtempo, 1 Star Liege, 1 Utopia, 1 Popple Operative, 1 Roach, 1 Cowboy, 1 Maestroke, 1 Black Ship, and 1 Strike Bouncer. So let me explain some of the cards that aren't really self-explanatory. As I stated in the video, Falling Down is in there because of Trance Archfiend. Trance Archfiend is an Archfiend, so basically he gives me the opportunity to play this if I have him on the board and have a Falling Down in my hand, which is really awesome. It's basically a snatch deal for this deck, and it gives me opportunities to go into rank 4 plays, or maybe rank 6 play if I have that, or just steal their monster and draw some cards off of it. So that's pretty cool. And I run 1 Chalice just to take away my opponent's ability to pop my monsters or anything like that with effects, and to give myself a little bit of a boost just in case I need a little extra something to get over a monster or end the game. 1 for 1 to bring out Cyber Valleys just in case I don't draw into any, and it fuels the graveyard. Scapegoats, just obviously to fuel Cyber Valley and do a little stall. And then Dark Resonator, you could run Reaper in its spot, but I like Dark Resonator because it basically does the same thing. It's not as as much of a wall as Reaper is, but it's also a tour guide target, so it allows me to go Allure, dump a tour guide, draw tour guide later if I need to, or if I do 2 tour guides and an Allure, I could ditch a tour guide and still go for Dark Resonator. Shining Angels are obviously to get Cyber Valleys and Dimensional Alchemist onto the board if I haven't drawn into them yet. Thrasher, I'm only running a 1-of. I tried 2 and it seemed a little cluttered. Thrasher is basically just targets for Cyber Valley, rank 4 exceeds, and Caius. The 2 out of play basically tutors are Dimensional Alchemist and Transharge Fiend. These cards are amazing in this deck. It allows you to do a lot of basically unconventional plays, where, as you saw in the duel, where I was moving or removing boss monsters and getting them back later in the game. Battle Fader just to stall and food for Caius. And also, you can make Slacker Magician with it. Slacker Magician is pretty much an all-star in this deck. If you really need to stall early on, you can put her out there, and your opponent can't target her with Monarchs. Your opponent can't target her with Dad, although Dad could just run her over. They can target it, but if they do, they're going to lose their monster, as you saw when I was playing against Spellbook Prophecy deck. So that's basically it. Some of these choices, I had Leviathan in here before, but it just takes too long to get it up to 3,000. Unfortunately, Absolute Hero goes up when there's water monsters on the board or whatever, so that was an issue. But you could take out big beaters like BLS or run over Stardust Dragons or whatever you want, and I can still get rid of it with Caius. Giga Brilliant is just another light monster. Not Leviar. Giga Brilliant is another light monster, and it gives my monsters an additional boost in attack. So that's pretty cool. It allows me to ditch a dark monster or whatever I use to make it. Leviar lets me do shenanigans with out of play cards. Lets me bring back out of play level 4s or out of play Cyber Valleys to go into more draw power. Zenmaines is just some stall, and it's a rank 3. It's a pretty good card, obviously. Tempo is just in case I run into people who are running cards like Zenmaines or other cards like that where I need to get materials off of them. And he gets a little big. That's basically it. There's a lot of light monsters that are a level 4 in this deck, so I can make Starliege pretty easily. Utopia is just a light monster. Popple Operative, light monster. Most of the light and darks in here are basically just because they're generic and they're dark or light. Cowboy is in for that extra little burn damage, and the same with Blackcorn. And Photon Strike Bouncer is because I run a few level 6s and a Trag, so I can make him potentially in a game. I haven't done so yet, but he's there just in case. You could actually take out a few of these rank 4s. You could probably take out the Steel Swarm Roach and put it in the side. You could, a couple other things, maybe the Tempo if you really don't feel it. The Slacker Magician if you really don't feel like having 2, and put in what's it called, Black Rose Dragon or Scrap Archfiend, or if you're running against, I guess, synchrocentric decks, Orient Dragon or Chain Dragon or whatever. Just you can put in synchros that are level 6, level 7, and level 4 pretty easily, and the biggest one would be just Black Rose Dragon. So yeah, that's basically the deck. This is a really fun deck to play. I really like it right now. It does a lot of stuff, and basically now we're going to go into the pros and cons of the deck. Something I noticed playing against a couple decks that run macro were that if they got it active earlier on and I had no way of getting around it, cards like Dimensional Alchemist and Transharge Fiend became useless. You have to keep fuel in the graveyard for your Chaos monsters, and you can't really do that if your monsters are all going out of play. So macro builds that get macro out really quickly, or are able, or if your opponent is able to get macro out really quickly or something like that, are going to be an issue for you. So you could run a card like Return from a Different Dimension basically in the side for this deck, since it removes a lot anyway. Another thing that is an issue is drawing into 3 Cyber Valleys in the opening hand. Basically, if you draw into 3 Cyber Valleys in the opening hand, it's kind of like if your opponent has a way of removing them off the board or anything like that, you're not going to get your draw off. It's just one of the issues that comes with the deck, essentially. If there was a way to put them back into the deck, I'd be running that card, but there really isn't a generic deck like that, or card like that. You could run Gold Rat if you really feel like it, but you have to get 3 level 1s on the board. That's a little more difficult than getting 2 level 1s on the board. Now on to the pros of the deck. The 2 all-stars of the deck are going to basically be Trance Archfiend and Dimensional Alchemist, since they do the same thing and are light and dark, so they feel the Chaos Engine. Another really good card is going to be Leviar, since it lets you bring back the Cyber Valleys that you remove from play, or cards that you remove for your Chaos monsters back from play, and let you get their effects again. Basically, when this deck works, it works really well, and it's very difficult for your opponent to get rid of your monsters. You're able to cycle monsters that you normally wouldn't be able to due to Trans Archfiend and Dimensional Alchemist, such as Dad, Blackluster Soldier, or Chaos Sorcerer. And that's going to do it for the pros. Hit the like and subscribe button to see when I put out new videos, and thanks for watching.